this insult to the Australian people by the imbecile Josh Frydenberg, the man not qualified to feed cats in a cattery, is telling us that we have to pay a debt for 60 years. I can guarantee you this, good old Josh's family's fine. I bet you Scott Morrison's family's fine. And the rest of us have to pay.
Yep.
Well, it's about time the Australian people told Josh and Scott and all the premiers to get stuffed. And I mean it. This is enough. We don't have another chance after this. And if you think I'm being unfair on little Joshy Frydenberg, the drop kick, this is the same man who has said nothing about the 90-year suppression order for VIP pedophiles like Scott Morrison. So once again, folks, how can you trust a party or parties, and that's Liberal, Labor, Nationals and Greens, how can you trust these people to look after you if they are knowingly concealing and protecting pedophiles, judges who used to frequent the Costello boy brothel in King's Cross? They will say nothing about that, but they want you to believe them. No more, folks. It's done. The four major parties need to be punted. Absolutely punted. And the best way you can do it, because there's only one election coming up in the next, before January, that's Queensland. So Queensland's, do it for yourselves, do it for your state, and do it for the country. Because if myself and Tracy get in, and when we get in, and we will, watch this space. That's the chink in the armour. That's the flood. That's Normandy. We get onto the beaches in Normandy, we're going straight to Berlin, and we'll continue going straight through to Moscow as well. We're not stopping. This is serious. I've never been more serious, folks. This is the end. Either you wake up and you vote the right way, or you might as well give the whole thing away.
All right, let's bring this back. Because there are plenty of shows online where you can see people get angry and throw their arms in the air and say, you need to do this, do that. But let's give them some solutions. We've talked about this in the past, the debt. We can sit here and criticise Josh Frydenberg all day and say he's wrong. We've got a situation where we've got to take it as it is, just like you would in the military. It's a crap situation. How would you solve the economy in this situation? If you were Josh Frydenberg and you had to give, if you were the Treasurer of Australia and you had to give that speech, what sort of policies would you
thank you for asking that.
To get them out? Because that's what we've got. That's important. We've got to talk solutions.
And this wasn't set up beforehand. We didn't prepare this, but thank you for asking.
No, you're right.
First thing I'd do is I'd call up China and say, we owe you a lot of money. But we're now facing this situation of force majeure. Inexplicable, can't do it, can't pay. So we're going to set your debts to one side. We're not going to pay you back for the time being. So we're going to just pause on the debts, not renege, just pause until we can rebuild the country. So that's step number one. And the banks and China and everybody else can squeal all they want. I don't care. The next thing we do, once again, we revert the whole taxation system is two phases, as I said last time. A flat tax, get rid of all the regressive taxes, flat tax initially, and then a 2% expenditure tax after that.
What would the flat tax rate be, sorry?
Flat tax, 20% flat in the cities, 10% in the rural areas. So any major centre, capital city for example, 20% flat tax, that's it. 10% in rural. This provides real incentive for companies to get into town. Then we'll examine all the companies that are setting up businesses, because it's about SMEs, it's not about the majors. The major corporations they employ a lot of people, but they don't pay much tax. But it's all about SMEs. We want to build up the SMEs of this nation. And we can give tax breaks for long periods of time. For example, we want cheap power, no problem. We need more coal-fired power stations. We need gas turbines, not a problem. We'll give you a 30-year tax break just on that. Build the thing, because it takes 30 years to get your money back. It's a bugger. So 30-year tax breaks on power stations. Where you go, build as much as you want, and you get cheap power, so we start to reduce the cost of manufacturing, because labour's more expensive, but our previous edge was cheap power and reliability and quality. Well, that was eroded under the new international economic order. And so you reduce tax on the individuals, you reduce tax on the companies, and you let them go. And then we start becoming self-reliant. This is that second line in our goal, self-reliant. So we need manufacturing in Australia. For example, we have found out, and this is not accidental, that most of our drugs come out of China. All of our manufacturing comes out of China. We send them coal and they send us back an iron ore and they send us back stuff. Well, we're going to turn that around. We're going to make it economically viable for Australians to grow businesses here from a national security perspective and from a national economic strength perspective. So we make Australia as self-reliant as we once were. And once the economy starts to grow, everything else takes place. We're making a bigger cake. So what I said about what we're going to do in Queensland, we're going to do nationally. This won't take 60 years. It only takes 60 years if you're putting money into somebody's Cayman Island account. And it's as blunt as that. Because the money is here. We should have $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund. We should be so rich as a nation. We can afford to help people that are in trouble. For example, one of the plans I mentioned previously, international aid, critical. What I think we should do is we get a couple of hospital ships. We build the ships. We man them with the cadets that are being trained up in Tasmania. We get nurses and doctors. They can repay a portion of their HECS debt by service on these hospital ships. So wherever there's a disaster, we sail them in and we provide them real, immediate care. And it does us good. It does them good. It does everybody good. And so this self-reliance grows up. We don't pick winners. Government can't pick winners. All they do is pick a company that's going to fund them at the next election. No. That's the way we do it. We build the economy, we reduce tax, we increase certainty, and as a result of that, the economy will take off in record time. As I said before, the analysis has been done. If Roosevelt, after the Depression, had not interfered as much as he had, it would have been over quicker. And that's what we need. Because what we're looking at is a 60-year debt. And as you said, that's optimistic. That's ridiculous. This will be over in no time flat. And then we'll deal with our debts.